Hello, beloved. Thanks for tuning in today. It's my hope that as you are reading through Psalm 139, and or if you have ordered your book of Beloved um, by Nicole Green on Amazon, um, or maybe you're just following along, wherever you are in your journey, um, it is my hope that you fully understand and are fully known. You fully know how much God loves you. You are loved. That's what this title means. Be loved. Be loved. So I'm calling you beloved because you're loved. Um, and anyway, yeah, yesterday we had uh, a good day celebrating. I was remembering our wedding and throughout the day and different events with that, and just a fun time, and I'm grateful for that day. And I also learned that somebody else I know uh, from the music world with Sophie, she and her husband also had that same wedding anniversary, 14 years for them. So um, it really was just fun to learn that, and it's a great day. Um, so it's actually, sorry, a little warm here in South Carolina today. I'm not complaining. I'm just letting you know. Um, we're getting a little burst of summer. I don't know. It's in the 70s, and it's it's nice. I do like that about South Carolina. Um, so, um, but also my being is remembering the anniversary tomorrow. The anniversary of 5 years ago, I had to call the squad and have them take Bob to the hospital. And that's a very hard memory, right? The memory of our anniversary is a great memory. The memory of him going into the hospital only to never return home on this side, um, that's not a good memory. That's a very hard memory. Um, but you know what? The Lord knows all about that. He knows my thoughts about that still. And today's topic is nowhere to hide. Nowhere to hide. Not know where to hide, but nowhere to hide. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. That's Psalm 139, 2 and 3. That was from the NIV version translation. Do you remember playing hide and go seek in your childhood? It was so much fun to stay out of sight. And now that we're older, we still have places where we find ourselves hiding. These hiding places aren't just physical spots, but also emotional and spiritual spaces where we go when life gets overwhelming. Some of these places are healthy, like taking time to be alone or just sitting quietly and thinking. But others are ways we avoid dealing with hard things about ourselves or our situations. David reminds us that no matter where we go or how we try to hide, God sees everything. He writes, "You search out my path and my lying down." God knows all our ways. Every step we take, every moment we rest, every time we work or play. There's nothing in our lives that's hidden from his view. This truth can feel strange at first. Most of us like to keep some parts of our lives private and hidden. But David doesn't say God's all-seeing presence is something to be afraid of. In fact, it brings deep comfort. Think about it. Freedom comes when there's nothing to hide. No more trying hard to look good. No more fear of being discovered. No more struggling alone in secret. The Lord already knows everything, and his love for us never changes. When we accept that there's no place to hide from God, and more importantly, that we don't need to hide at all, we can start living honestly. We can bring our whole selves, messy and imperfect as we are, into his presence. It makes me think of that old song, that old hymn, just as I am, without one plea. Um, and it's like, really, just come as you are, which I find it kind of funny. I was driving along the road a few weeks ago, and I noticed the sign outside of a Goodwill, and that was their little tag, was "Come as you are," um, and which is often a phrase used in the church. I just thought it was sort of funny and ironic that that's what was on the sign at Goodwill. Come as you are. And I don't know. Well, I'll save that tangent for another time. So I find it comforting. I have learned to find it very comforting that God does know all of that. It makes me think when I think of the miraculous AWE, all, that God does know our every thought. It makes me really think of how kids are trained when they're little, if they believe in Santa Claus. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. So it really, kids are being trained that that's what Santa Claus does. And I think it's more meaningful, actually, if we teach our kids while they're very young that that's how God sees. God has that title of all-knowing, all-seeing, and it's a profound comfort when you can come to that realization. At any rate, yeah, that's where I'm at today. And I'm thinking back to 5 years ago, and how God uses what we've gone through before. He will use again to bring him glory, and for good. He will use it for good. And Bob's oxygen level had gotten low. He was really sick. And I knew, and I had told the Lord, if his oxygen level hits a certain mark, then I'll know that I'm going to have to call the squad. And sure enough, it had hit that mark. And the reason I knew that particular mark was bad was because in 2013, I had to go to the hospital, and I'm a miracle. I know I am, because I had multiple bilateral pulmonary embolisms, and when I got to the hospital that particular morning, my oxygen level was in the low 70s, and so I knew that was dire. So then fast forward to my having to be the one to call the squad. I knew the number that I needed to look for. So I'm thankful for that, because you see, that takes the onus off of me. And that puts that burden on the Lord, if that makes sense. And my goodness, it's not always bad things, although there's nothing like great comfort in a major trial. But, and I might have shared on this channel before, I don't know, I know I've told the story before, but many years ago, back when the TV programs like TLC were doing Trading Spaces, and it was really fun to watch how these people would come in and decorate somebody's house. And sometimes the people liked it and sometimes they didn't. But it was fun to watch those shows, or Extreme Home Makeover. Um, but then there came this one about a yard transformation, like landscaping. And I never told anybody that that would have been my one of my great dreams, is to have a total yard makeover. And well, I mean, God knew that, because years later, this would have been 2 houses after that house that I had that thought, and I was watching these extreme yard makeovers, I guess. And 2 houses later, in 2019, a friend of mine redid our yard, and it was beautiful. I mean, just beautiful. It was something, it was more than I could have ever thought or imagined, or I wouldn't have done. I mean, it had like a water feature and a tabletop gas fireplace. And then the artistic design that she used with the pavers went all the way to the back of the property. And we had these old stumps, and she put she drilled them out and put canisters in there, so there were flames that you could light those, and it gave light and ambiance to the very back of the property. Just beautiful. And we had this old shed, storage barn, I guess, at that property, and I just hated it. Every time I looked out my kitchen window, there I saw that ugly storage building. And so one day too, she and another friend and some of us, like, we just tore that thing apart and got it out of there. And it was a great gift. And anyway, the yard was beautiful. There was a whole separate section that she did over to the side that was specifically for the grill. And that was like special pavers, and lots of beautiful, these, hydrangeas. I had lime sprite hydrangea bushes and small trees. The whole yard was just, it was all very it flowed. It was so pretty. Anyway, I go on to say, I say all that because God knew my heart. He knew my heart. And see, God uses people and to accomplish his purpose. I don't really know the big purpose, other than that was a great gift of friendship. That was a great gift of her giving us that gift of redoing our whole yard, or our whole landscaping. And it was beautiful. And I didn't even really stay in that house too long, because we moved in 24, I think. Yeah. Yeah, 24. So anyway, but I tell you that long story because God knew my heart. He knew my dream of a beautiful yard, and he made that happen. And it was through my friend. And it was gorgeous. So anyway, that's another just example of he knows our thoughts, because I had never told anyone else that thought of like my secret, like, oh, I would love that. So I have more and more and more stories, and I would love to hear your stories. What are times that you know that God, you didn't tell anyone else. It was only you that knew, you and God. And then he blew your socks off with something in a good way. So, and all things that are good are from God. Anything good that happens in life, it comes through him. So that's my gift for you today. You are loved. I'll see you next time.